Thank you very much for being here and for so clear an inspirative presentation, giving us a framework of the following panel. And the following panel is integrated by 5 people. Those 5 people who are professionals here in La Palma, mainly, just Raúl, which is in the university, has been different people, not only them, by the institutions. Solo para presentarlos y luego nos vamos a la sala. Not only them, by the institution, because they have been related with the institution in developing this program. I present them. Yes, please. No tenga miedo. Beginning by the extreme right-hand side, but it doesn't mean it. This is Raúl Hernández. Raúl Hernández is from La Palma, but he's teaching at the La Laguna University. He's the director of the tourism Cátedra, chair in La Laguna, which is integrated by 2 organizations. One is a foundation from a former bank, and the other one is the Provincial Association of Hoteliers. Being with this, Raúl has been working as director for more than 10 years of this chair. He's one of the most best researchers in La Laguna in tourism. But also, the chair has been related with the chair of UNESCO from Gran Canaria to organize this event. And Raúl has been very deep involved with that. Then, Raúl, thank you very much. For coming to share all your knowledge. Secondly, we have Germán González. Germán González is graduating in economics by La Laguna University. He's working at the Cabildo. Cabildo has been our main support of the program, but also he's controller in the Cabildo, and specifically now he's the controller of the Water Council in Cabildo de La Palma, and this is the reason because he knows very well all the questions who have to be with how public sector manage this very complicated sector between sector and public and private sector. He is a person who has been involved insistently in know more about our program also. Thank you very much, Germán. Muchas gracias por estar aquí y compartir. Many of you knew the other day César Martín, who is the technical coordinator, Garcia, sorry, César Garcia, who is the technical coordinator of the Chamber of Commerce in La Palma Island, belonging to the Tenerife organization, and he's another of our supporters in the program, collaborating in different ways. We have an activity on Friday that has been run by them. Also, Cesar is graduated in economics and been working in different entrepreneurial and different developing projects in La Palma. One interesting being in the time of the volcano, trying to set up and try to encourage people to have a longer look about what was posing beside or supported by a Spanish private foundation organization. Was interesting. Muchas gracias, César, por estar aquí. And you know Carolina de León, he's from the Biosphere Reserve of La Palma. She's in charge in green economy there as an area. She's graduating in humanities, and as we told the other day, she has a specialization in gastronomy. Tourism gastronomy, exactly is that, and trademarks in the local area about that. Muchas gracias, Carolina, for the and all the activities we have been having have been supported by the Biosphere Reserve. And finally, is Fran Dominguez, San Luis. He is engineer technical of agriculture. He has been as the General Director, CEO of the Rural Development Association in La Palma for more than 25 years, 30 years. He concentrates all the knowledge about rural development, local enterprises, being transformation, different sectors in projects, different projects. At the first, rural tourism, and lastly, this developing project of compostage. And Frank is also participating in different organizations in the same way, for instance, in the Canary Network of Rural Development, Spanish Network of Rural Development, including European projects related with that, and other also Biosphere Reserve has been very good example of rural and local development at different levels. Other is also a contributor to this program, then all of them as technical in their different institution, and person who big knowledge and very long experience has been sharing with us our small groups there. Bueno, entonces muchas gracias a todos y nos vamos a hacer una ida a grupos pequeños de la siguiente manera. We are going to the small group, small session in that way. We have in room A will be, I need my glasses, sorry.
Matthias.
Sorry?
Matthias.
And Matthias also. Yes, Matthias.
Room A?
Yeah, sorry, yes. There is Matthias. You know Joyce? Do you know him? No, it's okay. Matthias is in the room A. We'll have Raúl in the room second. We have an Spanish in room D, sorry. A, C, D, in room D. We'll be together Fran Dominguez with Germán. And finally, in the group 4 will be César and Carolina together also. Then one of them in Spanish, another with translation, and another in English. With Matthias will be in English. All the person who are in the group knows how run that.
Okay, I'm just going to start with a quick caveat that we did discuss a lot of themes. So it's possible that you might not see coherence in some of the things that I'm seeing, but I'm just going to pull out the key learnings for us, and I invite my group also to add in their perspectives if I miss something. So in general, we know that La Palma is slightly poor as on the economic side compared to other islands. There's lots of natural capital here, but that does not get factored into economic indicators like GDP, right? Because those are very specific to outputs and production outputs. And regarding agriculture is a key sector here, as we all know, but it needs to be diversified. There is some resistance to change here. There is banana farmers who are and cooperatives which have a very strong influence in the government. So they have a very strong political influence, which is why the status quo is maintained for a crop like banana and sort of gives rise to this kind of monoculture. Another influencing factor is the subsidies. So the subsidies, Matthias was sharing an example with us, like for 1 kg banana, of course you receive your market price minus your cost, which is your profit, but you also get close to 1.8 euros worth of subsidy for every kilogram of banana you produce. So that subsidy kind of, again, reinforces the status quo and incentivizes people to just continue to produce that crop. And then, yeah, the political influence, we spoke about that and how that is involved in a lot of government decisions. Why do the subsidies exist? One is the subsidies exist because at a very high level, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this was my understanding after discussing with Ben, The subsidies are coming in from the EUR government, from the European Union as well as the Spain government, the main government. And so the reason why these subsidies are pumped into the island is largely to maintain social stability of the Canary Islands and to make sure that they're happy and things are kind of unchanged. For two reasons. One is tourism, because it's a very strategically important part of Spain's tourism economy, but also because of the military focus. So the two islands from the Canary Islands, I think one is Gran Canaria, and one more are military bases, and so they're very strategically important for the government.
Can you make pauses so the translator can...
Oh, I'm so sorry. Who needs the translation?
This will help with the very brief summary. Vamos a estar haciendo pausas para que puedan traducir lo que acaba de decir.
Oh, okay. Alkis, do you want to translate now?
Do we want to translate everything that... No, this is just for internal.
In summary.
That's internal. Okay, because I just picked on some pieces. I wasn't listening to them.
Okay, we will start with the next part.
Yeah.
Okay.
But basically what she said, lo que ella dijo es que el sector que produce plátanos es muy fuerte y que la mayor parte de las inversiones extranjeras en la isla se han dedicado a mantener las condiciones de bienestar o tratar de mantenerlas.
Yeah. So that was on agriculture and the military importance, which is why there is a lot of money coming into the Canary Islands in general. And like I said, the military, if there was a military intervention, this is super important for them to sort of maintain stability with. The last 2 points are on sustainable development and employment. Regarding sustainable development, again, their will to transition to renewable energy or implement better water management practices all depends on the amount of money that comes in and what it is coming in for. So if the EU gives them money to support renewable energy, they will support it, right? Or start investing in it. If the EU gives them money for water management, they will start to explore that, but they don't do this very strategically. He mentioned that ideally there should be decentralized water management and smaller like infrastructure across different regions, not necessarily one massive infrastructure, okay. But a lot of that planning.
Quick pause for a translation.
Oh, okay.
So, está hablando de básicamente la transición energética y cómo funciona a nivel de inversión, y que básicamente si se recibe dinero de la Unión Europea, eso es lo que va a dictar básicamente la inversión interna, pero que hay un problema de estrategia, que básicamente la estrategia no es descentralizada, y bueno, va a continuar hablando al respecto. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then the last part is around tourism. So he believes that this island is not really ready for or made for mass tourism. It cannot accommodate it. The landscape is difficult. Infrastructure for these kinds of activities is difficult. So what this island can only really handle is very ecotourism kind of approach, but mostly for what they're currently doing, like volcano runners or hikers, or these kind of adventure sports related tourism is only something that the island could support, not so much perhaps like mass tourism in the way we see it in some other islands. There are better islands for that purpose. And
okay.
Then
yeah, let me just translate that. So está hablando de básicamente que la isla no está diseñada, no tiene las capacidades para turismo en masa, básicamente por el terreno. Lo que sería más apropiado para el terreno sería más bien como un turismo ecológico alrededor de el volcán, científico, más bien como un turismo de aventuras, etc.
Yeah, and the last point is around employment in young people. I think the biggest learning for us was that the social status of the jobs needs to be elevated in the eyes of young people. So he was giving an example of how when you think about a farmer, people think about like soiled clothes and working in the fields all day, which is not attractive for a young person who perhaps wants to be in a white-collar job where, earn €1,000 salary and do administrative jobs or other white-collar jobs. So that is a real incentive or disincentive for young people, and why they might choose to come back or not come back to the island. So yeah, I know a couple of thoughts, but if the team wants to jump in, go ahead.
Okay. Bueno, ahora estamos hablando básicamente del problema con la fuga de gente joven de la isla, y se habló que una de las posibilidades sería elevar el estatus social de ciertos trabajos, porque parece que trabajar estar empleado en actividades relacionadas con agriculturas no es tan atractivo para este demographic. Y sí, no, básicamente eso es. Y that's it. Okay. Bueno, un comentario adicional.
I'll add something from the same group, and you would honor me to translate as well. When he was mentioning about decentralization, it's not that everybody's just doing their own thing. It's that each region is actually coming together and integrating different pieces. And he showed us a model earlier, I think last weekend, where there's one central dot, which turns out to be the government, and everything is like a spoke outside of it, versus where things are interconnected, and how agriculture and tourism can interconnect together instead of relying on going through the government to be told you take them there or whatsoever. So it's really about the integration of the different sectors. He specifically mentioned the different domains that Michael talks about in the Sustainability Laboratory needing to come together for this vision of doing something different and doing something better in the future.
Okay. Y bueno, ahora estamos estresando la necesidad de no tener un modelo centralizado, sino más bien descentralizado, en el que las islas tienen una autonomía en lo que pueden hacer cada una, y no tienen que esperar básicamente que un gobierno les diga qué es lo que tienen que hacer. También porque cada una de las islas es única y tiene un único terreno, tiene únicas características. Y que bueno, que el éxito del futuro también depende también en esa estrategia descentralizada.
So I'll get started, and Algis, you'll translate. Yes, so our group, we were talking mostly about tourism, actually, and the difference between concentrated types of tourism, which we've been talking about as a group, in terms of keeping people in the same areas like we have at the moment on two sides of the island, versus dispersed types of tourism, where you have more of an Airbnb type model, where we have our tourists spread across the island, and the different impacts associated with those two types of tourism. In terms of the concentrated tourism, we see actually pros and cons to both, but actually there's an opportunity to regulate that type of tourism more, which can in turn encourage more efficient infrastructure, use of resources, and be more sustainable in some aspects.
Pause. Yes. Bueno, entonces Harry nos dice que el foco primordialmente fue turismo, y que hablaron de dos diferentes modelos de turismo, uno concentrado y otro más disperso. El disperso, una forma de visualizarlo, Airbnb, o obviamente más disperso en la isla. Cada una de estas tiene diferentes implicaciones. Entonces empezamos a hablar del modelo concentrado. Tiene sus pros, tiene sus cosas buenas, tiene sus cosas malas, pero que hay bastantes oportunidades de volver este modelo más ecológico, más sustainable, etc.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And I think it's important to note that the concentrated.
If you want, after I say it, if you want to jump in then and add to it, that would be great. Super. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'll just point that concentrated tourism doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm going to add that concentrated tourism doesn't mean giant hotels. It just means regionally it's concentrated in an area. It could be smaller hotels, but together versus houses all over the island.
Ok, sí. Que entonces cuando estamos hablando de turismo concentrado, no necesariamente nos referimos a un complejo gigante de turismo masivo, sino más bien concentrar el turismo en una región o regiones de La Palma.
Cool. And bringing together a few points on the diagram as well, we spoke about the importance of diversity, diversity in agriculture, services, and how that is a huge attractant to actually bring people to the island, but that's currently lacking. And I won't go too far into that because we already know that, and that's also linked to young people leaving the island. Yeah, we also know that we need young people here in order to innovate and in order to develop those products, services, diversified offering of the island. And the young people are leaving because we don't have that, so yes.
Ok. Se habló de la importancia de la diversidad en la agricultura y la necesidad que hay para tener servicios asociados con esta diversidad agricultura y que obviamente se necesita gente joven para poder trabajar o poder ser empleadas en esas industrias. Yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
Cool. Something new we found out as well. I mean, we knew that local people had subsidies in order to travel between islands, but we were actually delving into the fact that people are leaving in order to do shopping and to buy goods that simple things like clothing. They'll go to Tenerife or to other islands and come back with their shopping to La Palma. So this is one of the impacts of having that subsidy, allowing the mobility, that we don't need those services on La Palma because they're able to get them elsewhere. So that's also an opportunity.
Ok, interesante. Bueno, entonces ahora estamos hablando de los subsidios que están en la isla para la movilidad de los palmeros y bueno, de todos los residentes de las Islas Canarias, y que eso también tiene ciertas consecuencias como a nivel de los servicios que los palmeros pueden conseguir en Tenerife o en Gran Canaria, y como están subsidiados para ir por avión, pueden ir, recibir esos servicios, volver, y no hay mucha demanda interna por esos servicios por consecuencia del subsidio de movilidad.
Anything to add from the team for the summary before Joyce looks at the model?
I actually think you did a fine job covering most of it. I think the only other piece is we talked about this dispersed tourism. It's unique, and it could be something very unique to La Palma. So in that sense, the dispersed tourism, it's unique and could be attractive. It's very different from what you have in Tenerife. So there is, potentially an opportunity here as well, but then you have all the environmental issues to contend with.
Okay. Bueno, ahora hablando más del concepto de turismo disperso, que dicen que hay una gran oportunidad ahí porque una forma de diferenciarse con el resto de las islas y ofrecer un producto más único que posiblemente pueda tener más éxito a nivel económico.
And it's not a matter of which one, it's a balance. And how do we balance all of these different elements, the residents, the families, the tourism, and the workers, and managing that balance is what we need to work toward.
Okay. Y bueno, presentaron los conceptos de turismo concentrado, turismo disperso, y que no es una pregunta de como que, bueno, vamos a darle todo a el turismo concentrado o al turismo disperso, sino cómo podemos encontrar un balance entre esos dos modelos. Okay.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you.
So, hello everyone. We were number 3 with Jose in front. Yeah. So, at first we were told that, we all can imagine that people in La Palma came as a colonist, but in a disordered way. So this actually started to sort of go against the comprehension of the territory. So if you colonize not in a proper way, you will know what the territory really is or what really means. And this lack of comprehension of the territory has 2 effects. One is that the more, like if you don't have the comprehension, you will try to reconstruct the way you had it, or not taking into account what the soil really is up to. So we have that loop. So the less you know about the territory, the more you will try to go back to the same old ways, basically. And also there is the loop, and the more you comprehend the territory, the more connections there will be between people and the territory itself. It means that the more connections you have with the territory, the more you will go for local economies. I'm not saying small economies, but let's say more economies which are aligned with the possibilities and the potentials of the territory. There was one important word which came up in the conversation, which was symbiosis, or symbiosis in Spanish. The more you comprehend the territory, the more symbiosis will be between economic sectors or between sectors. And the more symbiosis, the more connections between people and its territory. Also, there were some hints about the spirituality. We were talking about why did they choose to stay, and they will try to find out the reasons, but there it is some, so to say, strange force that brings people back to the island. Also, we try to link that with the retention of the youth in the island. So we concluded that the more connection there is between people and the territory, the more likelihood there is that people will stay in the territory. And also to connect that with other sectors and with other models, the more symbiosis between economic sectors you can grasp that, the more the healthier will be the environment. Would you like to add something?
We say it in Spanish.
¿no?
Ah, sí, bueno, listo. Bueno, cuando la isla es un lugar que fue colonizado, o sea, no es que los palmeros nacieron acá del volcán, pues, desde la Palma, sino que cuando los palmeros, o digamos los colonizadores llegaron con sus maneras viejas de hacer las cosas. Entonces, desde el principio hubo una incomprensión del territorio. Y esa incomprensión del territorio hace que, por ejemplo, con lo que pasó con el volcán, la gente quiera reconstruir. Y nos aclararon que la palabra reconstruir es básicamente volver a la misma forma. Y eso implica que la gente básicamente iría pues a donde estaba la colada y hacer las mismas casas que habían, sin tener en cuenta que eso está cambiando. Es una total desconexión y a eso voy. Entonces, entre más comprendas el territorio, va a haber mucha más conexión entre la gente y su territorio, pues es casi obvio, ¿cierto? Y también dentro de la conversación, digamos, concluimos que esa conexión entre la gente y el territorio haría o hace que las economías se dediquen, pues dejen de depender tanto de los modelos externos de las economías impuestas pues desde afuera, ¿cierto? ¿Qué es lo que pasa en este momento? Una palabra que salió mucho a flote y digamos que reúne como el deber ser de este tema del territorio y de la economía es la simbiosis. Si hay simbiosis o cuando ha habido, mejor, porque no es un pensamiento pues, del deseo, sino porque cuando ha habido simbiosis entre sectores económicos, se nota que hay una conexión mucho más fuerte entre la gente y el territorio. Lo pudimos ver en el ejemplo, en los ejemplos donde hemos estado, por ejemplo, en la finca de Fran o en los viñedos allá arriba cerca del volcán. Y para tratar de conectar eso con otros modelos, otros sectores, entonces también concluimos que entre más simbiosis entre esos sectores, no tiene que ser solamente económicos, entre sectores que existen en la isla, eso va a aumentar la salud del medio ambiente. Y otra vez volviendo al tema de la retención de la juventud pues, en la isla, o sea, dar la oportunidad que se quede, está muy relacionado con la conexión gente-territorio. Y también importante, no lo sabíamos, y se hizo un estudio, nos explicó Fran, que una encuesta que hicieron a todos los ganaderos, ¿cierto?, de la región, era que por qué los jóvenes no se querían quedar, y era porque no tenían WhatsApp. Entonces, para que lo tengamos en cuenta, que es importante la conectividad como para eso. Y tuvimos algunas ideas sobre el tema de la espiritualidad, también el tema de que no necesariamente todo se tenga que medir con el dinero, pues que no se monetice todas las actividades, incluyendo el turismo, porque eso puede dejar en el largo plazo algunos players fuera del juego.
You do it in English?
I'm sorry?
Can we get it in English?
I just did it in English.
The English was the other one.
Okay.
Okay, I'm the same.
Sí, la verdad que mi compañero lo ha resumido bastante bien con este modelo, pero sí que es verdad que me voy a centrar un poquito en algunos de los temas que hemos ido hablando para detectar los problemas. Y al principio hemos hablado de la ley de las Islas Verdes. Esta ley únicamente afecta a La Gomera, El Hierro y La Palma. Y bueno, creo que todos hemos oído hablar de esta ley, pero estuvimos hablando de escapar de alguna forma de este modelo neodarwinista competitivo que lo que está provocando es pues, la construcción de estos nuevos hoteles o complejos en zonas rurales aisladas y convertirlo en un modelo como más simbiótico que agrupe más a la población. Hablamos mucho del efecto que tiene un hotel o un campo de golf que igual puede estar afectando al territorio durante más de 200 años, sin embargo, un modelo de agricultura de las cabras o algún otro tipo de plantación sostenible pues podría ser reemplazado por otro y ahí tiene una capacidad de adaptabilidad al ambiente. Luego también estuvimos hablando de la migración de los jóvenes durante un largo rato, la verdad que ha sido muy fructífera esta conversación. Y ahora mismo en La Palma tenemos un problema hay una burbuja, o sea, estamos viviendo una realidad que no es propia del ambiente, que ha provocado que haya un número inmenso de viviendas vacacionales que lo que ha hecho es que suban los alquileres de las viviendas y por lo tanto impidamos a los jóvenes quedarse en la isla. Habíamos hablado de en torno a unos 900, 1.200 euros medios de alquiler. Obviamente un joven pues tendría que invertir todo su salario en el alquiler o gran parte de su salario en él y no le quedaría prácticamente nada para vivir, ¿no? Y para solventar esto habríamos hablado de integrar, como de recuperar ese conocimiento, de que no se vaya, de no perderlo y de que haya en la isla o en Canarias estudios que sean de sostenibilidad para que después estas mentes vuelvan a la isla y puedan integrar todos estos proyectos. Respecto al riesgo volcánico, también hablamos muchísimo de no volver a tener esos ciclos de retroalimentación en el que ocurre una catástrofe, volvemos al mismo modelo que hemos tenido siempre y cuando vuelve a pasar la catástrofe, todo lo que hemos recuperado se vuelve a perder. Otra vez volver a hablar de esta simbiosis y, bueno, Fran lo estaba comparando con el crack del 29, o sea, como que la isla totalmente se quedó paralizada con el volcán y para solventar esto habíamos hablado de, a lo mejor, que todas las viviendas donde haya un riesgo volcánico tengan un seguro de la vivienda para este tipo de actuaciones, ¿no? De fenómenos naturales. Y que esté subvencionado en parte por el Estado. Luego también hablamos de la agricultura. El problema de la agricultura es que ahora tenemos un monocultivo y, por otra parte, todos los cultivos que hemos ido teniendo del tomate, de las almendras, están perdiendo, porque están perdiendo subvenciones que por otro lado se están dando al plátano. Y ahora mismo que estamos en auge del aguacate, lo que sería lógico es quitar ese monocultivo que está consumiendo tanta agua y reemplazarlo por el aguacate. Sin embargo, se está viendo que los cultivos del aguacate están siendo cultivados en zonas de almendros o otro tipo de cultivos que son propias de la región. Y bueno, también estuvimos hablando de energías. Hay que fomentar las energías geotérmicas, energías eólicas y no tanto fomentarnos en las solares que consumen espacio. Y bueno, y voy a dejarlo aquí.
English version?
Oh, now English version? Yeah, for sure. Okay, we spoke about the law of the Green Islands. I think all of you know about this law, and we were talking about the competition that this law provokes in the population, in the economy, no? Like this law, you can construct a hotel in an isolated place of the island, and this law this law only appears in La Gomera, La Palma, and El Hierro. And we were talking about a symbiosis and maybe go away from this creation of a hotel and do a more construction that maybe has more mobility. Like, for example, agriculture, you can change it easily to many other things. Maybe you can put there cows or whatever, but if you have a hotel over a gulf, maybe that the soil, you will have a problem maybe for 2,000 years or more. I think we also spoke about the youth, no? About the jóvenes, youth. And we were saying that here we have a bubble that is not the reality of what the people is living here, no? And the youth to live here, they have to pay around 900 to 1,200 euros. That is like their salary to live here. And this is because the vacational, like the housing is not pretty much and is destined to vacational tourism. So what we thought about this, how to get the people to live here, the youth to live it here. It was like imposing, to create an educational sustainability here in the island. So the people from the island are concerned of the problems of the island, and they solve the problems and being here, they're irrigated to the island. And also we spoke about the volcano. What happened in the volcano is that you have a loop that a really bad loop, that what you're doing is that there's this catastrophe, and then the recuperation maybe is 20 years, and then another catastrophe comes, and we all the time in this loop, never-ending loop. So what we thought is go more in a symbiosis of doing infrastructures in, well, nothing with that. Let's see. Oh yeah, we thought about how do we say? Joder, no se me ocurre en castellano. What does it matter? It's everything written. And yeah, it's pretty okay, no? Yeah, it's okay. Sorry for the English, it's everything written here.
Let's try to close soon because
We can just have one thing that was like more like a funny thing, but thing too, like put your perspective. He said it in Spanish, but I think he said it in English. That like they went and asked the sons of the farmers, and they went and like asked everybody to just get a sense of what was the reason why they were leaving and the island, and what was the thing that they were missing. And it was a big consensus that the main reason that they were leaving is that they didn't have WhatsApp. So they couldn't organize their lives, their social lives, etc., in a way that they wanted to. So that pushed them out. So I think I've never heard that before, and it's something interesting. So they don't have coverage. So they don't have phone coverage to like WhatsApp their friends. So it's just something interesting.
Hola, nosotros somos el equipo 4. Gracias a Carol y a César, estuvo muy interesante escucharlos, de verdad, muchas gracias. Yo trataré de dar los puntos muy breves, ya se mencionaron varios, pero lo que nosotros quisiéramos agregar es que la migración ha sido muy importante y relevante en la isla porque son capacidades, capital humano con diferentes experiencias que en sus países lo han logrado y llegan aquí y este capital no está siendo aprovechado o puede que sí, esta es una oportunidad para generar más empleos y más diversificación de servicios y productos, pero ahí hay una restricción de la burocracia porque no existen leyes o no existen apoyos para ellos para que se sientan integrados e insertados en la sociedad. I'm talking about the migration of other places and countries that they have so much information, experience, and knowledge that they can apply this formation here in the island. And ¿qué más? Para crear esta retención de las capacidades humanas y de los jóvenes se necesita el ofrecimiento de los empleos, pero también tiene que ir acompañado con una calidad de vida, que nos referimos a una vivienda asequible, como lo habían mencionado, y algo importante de resaltar de eso es que muchos de los isleños que salen de la isla regresan porque se dan cuenta de la calidad de vida que tienen aquí. Les gusta la seguridad, les gusta la tranquilidad, el clima. Entonces, muchas de las personas que salen notan esa diferencia y valoran más su territorio y es por eso que regresan. ¿Qué dije? The retention of the young people needs to be like complemented with the job offer, but also like the quality of life. And many people that come from, were born here and live the island, they usually return because they value being away from their homes, value more this special island that offers quality of life, meaning like security, safety, and also the weather. It's important for them to be here.
En este punto también estuvimos hablando de que no solo afecta que los jóvenes vengan a trabajar aquí por la calidad de vida y la vivienda, sino que también la calidad de los trabajos no son lo suficientemente buenas y las condiciones son muy duras, sobre todo en el sector servicio. Entonces, la gente que sale, los jóvenes que salen a trabajar fuera están muy cualificados y no encuentran un trabajo con la calidad suficiente y con las condiciones suficientes como para querer volver. No, in English. I was pointing that just people even needs that life quality, but also laboral quality, because they are not able to find here jobs that it is adapted to their qualification, because just people leave the island because they want to have university studies, and then they cannot back here and find the perfect job for them. Also, the condition of the service activities are very difficult for them. It's very hard jobs, and just people cannot find this kind of job attractive for them.
Bueno, solo para añadir un poco lo que han dicho mis compañeras, creo que un punto muy importante que se ha comentado en los grupos en general y en varios aspectos de nuestra conversación es la diversificación. Diversificación económica, diversificación en la agricultura, diversificación en el tipo de turismo.
Y de la currícula.
Y curricular, en la educación, o sea que necesitamos cambiar los modelos que estaban centralizados en un tipo de cultivo, un tipo de turismo, a distribuir y diversificar en cada uno de estos ámbitos para permitir un mayor desarrollo. Por otro lado, quería comentar también la innovación como un tema muy importante y también con impactos en la reducción de riesgo que hemos estado hablando. El cambio en el modelo político ha sido también algo que se ha estado comentando en general y cómo la forma de tomar decisiones, la burocracia en términos también de cambios de gobierno, cómo necesitamos una cohesión política, una cohesión social a la hora de tomar decisiones y que aunque no sea la ideal aquí o la ideal aquí, se llegue a un modelo en común que se pueda mantener a lo largo del tiempo para ver los beneficios en un plazo más largo y no que se hayan estos cambios tan dramáticos. Creo que sí. Oh, I have to go back to English. I think some points that came out in our conversations, we have seen them throughout different days and conversations. I was highlighting, the diversification of the economy, diversification of the kind of agriculture, diversification of the kind of tourism. So like to break old models that were focused on one type of plantation, that first was like sugarcane, then is bananas, and also diversification in the education, so more different education available for these diverse also job opportunities. Something came to mind actually that we talked about revenue, that is something very important in the terms of the banana plantation, like how the one banana costs to produce 60 cents and then you get in return 20 cents. But it is compensated by subsidies, like they very well highlighted. So how can we be investing in something that we know is not economically profitable? And to summarize then, I don't think I capture everything I said. I think I'm worse at translating myself. But anything to add?
I would like to add some things. Ellos nos comentaron que estaban apoyando mucho el tema del emprendimiento como una opción de empleabilidad para los jóvenes. ¿Cómo? Okay. They also told us that they promote the enterprise in it. Entrepreneurship. Okay, I'm not able to repeat that word, but you get it. Okay, it's a way to increase the employment here for young people, and also with the COVID crisis, they discovered that there was a really large gap for digital and technological issues in the companies here. So there is a way to work in the future for companies.
Thank you.
Bueno, en español que se me entendieron.
I think that's it. I don't know if you, our invited experts, we're very thankful with you for sharing all this knowledge. We're starting to be really passionate about what's going on here in La Palma. If you have any comment that is very important, you can tell us now, or we invite you to share lunch with us and we can keep the conversation there. Entonces les agradecemos mucho que estén aquí, a ustedes que son nuestros expertos invitados de quienes estamos aprendiendo muchísimo y nos estamos apasionando mucho por lo que está pasando acá en La Palma. Si tienen algo que quisieran compartirnos, para que lo pueden decir ahora, pero de otra manera los invitamos a compartir la comida con nosotros y tal vez profundizar sobre algunos temas.